Ezra Anderson here. Just want to show you my wonderful Flappy Bird clone. And I just want to talk for a second about Flappy Bird and why I think it is an excellent game. Sadly, it's not something I would play, but if you are a new developer starting out, I kind of understand why there are so many clones of this. I mean, probably most people clone it because they're all reaching for the stars and hoping to make as much money as that game made. But from a developer standpoint, if you're learning, it's an excellent game to learn to make. And the best advice I could give somebody is, make games that are within your scope. Make games that you're going to actually finish. Don't be overly ambitious if you're just starting out. Now, for the game Flappy Bird, why I think it's a great learning game is because you can do it in so many different ways. So you can look at the game and you can try to clone it. You can try to make it a little different. I think he probably uses procedurally generated things streaming into the game. You can use a physics engine or you can write your own physics. You could do um, a variation on different aspects of the game, which you see throughout the App Store. So I'm just going to kind of take you through how I did it, and the whole game probably took me maybe 8 hours to cobblestone together. And it's what I tried to focus on because I didn't obviously want a straight clone was kind of make it a little original, make it my own. And the first thing I did is I didn't actually do procedurally generated, even though that is a great thing to learn because if you're building really large things, you're going to have to try to figure out how to stream chunks of data into your game, or you're going to have to do things like that, which Flappy Bird kind of does, is because they're procedurally generating something, they're streaming it in, and then they're getting rid of it, and that's a pretty common technique when you're game developing. So what I did is I didn't actually do that. I made some predefined chunks because I like patterns in games, and then I stream that chunk in and I stream that chunk out, and I do that with a tile grid, and I use two separate tile grids, and the tile grid is the size of the screen. So once the tile goes out of the screen, it takes that old tile deck and it puts it in the front. So if it goes out the back, it comes back in the front. So I'm going to turn something on and you should be able to see that. So you can see that, it's blue, now it's purple, the new chunk's coming in. That blue now gets put in the front as a different chunk. That purple now gets put in the front as a different chunk, and I just stream the data in, and then once it leaves the screen, the data is gone. Currently I have collision off, so I can kind of go through anything. I'll let myself die. The next thing I did is I don't like using physics engines. BoxCD and Chipmunk and all these physics engines are really, really great, and they're really, really powerful, but for such a simple thing I didn't want to do that. So I stream in the collision too, aligned with the tile. So every tile holds a collision shape for itself in the tile set, and then I calculate where that collision shape should be on the screen, and here I just use simple boxes. If you look at this shape, it's actually 32 by 32. That would be the whole shape, so it's got one box here, one box here, one box here, and that's the collision. And you can see as I move, the collision automatically gets deleted behind the guy. The other thing is I don't actually even need that much collision. I can scale it down because really I just need the collision a little bit in front of him and a little bit behind him. So that's the only collision I need to look up. And that collision is looked up by the x-axis that he is on, looking at the tile set and which quadrant of the tile has collision involved with it. And then for actual Geo who's jumping through this maze, I just use the tiny little box in the center. And the reason it's so small in the center is because it's kind of hard to get through certain parts, certain corners. The bigger I make that box, the more difficult it's going to be to try to get through things. And once again, I didn't necessarily need to use a circle because circle versus rectangle collision is more difficult to write than, say, rectangle versus rectangle collision. So that's how simple it is. I just have rectangles for the tiles that get streamed in. I have two tile decks that stream in and stream out and get filled with new data. And I have maybe 20 different chunks of data that gets loaded into the tile deck when it's needed. So if you actually can get really good at it, you'll be able to um, play the pattern. And that's kind of what I like, because I like the skill level of kind of being able to remember things, how to get through a certain chunk. Um, you know, it just always tracks your best and your score. Flappy Bird was about um, going through between the tunnels, I guess, where all my Geo games are about collecting the treasures, or collecting, like in GeoByte, collecting the bytes of data, or Geo-Hop collecting treasure, Geo-Jump collecting treasure. Um, Once again, is it a great game? Is it a fantastic game? Not really, because it's pretty simple. It took a very short time to make, but it is fun, and it translates really well to touch screen devices because all you have to do is tap the screen. Kids really like it because, it's challenging, I guess. Adults like it for the same reason. It's really challenging. Flappy Bird for me makes me actually want to smash the phone in half because it's probably too challenging, and I think that's probably why a lot of people like it. Um, So I'll just turn off the collision and I'll turn on the chunks that I'm streaming in. And I'll turn on the collision too, and you can kind of see how that game works. Um, Kind of unique. Like I said, if you're learning games, make a game you can finish. Copy, you know, so what if you copied a game? Flappy Bird itself is a copy of some Mario mechanics, and Mario mechanics are copies of one of the first games I can think of is a game called Looping or Loopy or something for the ColecoVision, where you're a plane and you fly through something just like this, and you try to avoid obstacles. If you hit an obstacle, you die, you start again. App stores, mobile stuff. They're all about the endless games. And so if you can play forever, you can play forever. If you can kill 5 minutes while sitting into line of a grocery store, then it's an enjoyable game. Anyways, that's the game. This one is called Geo-Flop. Check it out. Give it a play. Thanks.